this morning at like 4:30 in the morning, this song popped into my head, and I have no idea why, because I haven't heard this song since I was a kid. So I went to look for the original, and this popped up, which I had absolutely no idea Johnny Cash did this song, like covered this song. I saw the title and I'm like, okay, that's more or less of a generic title. It could be a million different songs. So I went and looked up the lyrics. This this is Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, well, the original. I think it's the original. I'm not sure. I would assume Kenny Rogers' version is the original, but I've gone this far in life without ever knowing he does this song. And with Johnny, everything he touches just turns to gold. I'm not saying the original isn't gold because it is. I used to love that song when I was a kid, but when Johnny does when he covers a song or gives us his iteration of what he thinks that song should be, it just hits so different. It's the guitar, it's his voice. So, let's just do this. This is The Gambler by Johnny Cash. Before I get going, be sure to subscribe. Helps me out so much. Patreon is in the description down below. New uploads every Sunday. I can't believe I had no idea this song existed. None.
About 20 years ago, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns staring through the window at the darkness, till boredom overtook us and he commenced.
My headphones just made the noise like they just powered off, but it's weird that it made that noise, seeing as they're plugged in. Oh, I didn't like that. I don't even think they were turned on. But let's start over.
About 20 years ago, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns staring through the window at the darkness, till boredom overtook us and he commenced to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. And if you don't mind my saying, I would say you're out of aces, and for one taste of your whiskey, I will give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow.
Okay. One thing that is just so disgustingly underrated about Johnny Cash in the songs he covers and even in his own stuff, he will present it to you like he's telling a story. Like it's just you and him in a room and he's telling you this story, like he'll be singing, and then he'll just hit you with, so I handed him the bottle, and then he'll keep going. It's like a story he's telling you. I mean, I know people that like talk about that, but they don't talk about it enough. I've heard people mention that probably the number of times I've heard that I could count on one hand and not need all my fingers. Like he's such a legend, and that's one thing I don't want to say it gets overlooked, but not nearly enough people mention it. Like singing, and then he'll just, so I handed him the bottle, and then just go back into the song. Like,
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette, then he bummed a light. The night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. He said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you better learn to play it right. 'Cause every gambler knows that the secret to survival is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. And every hand's a winner, just like every hand's a loser. And the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward...
see, I will never get over that. Like, since I was like a kid or a teenager, I recognize that he's telling you a story. Like when you listen to a song like this, or I don't know, I Hung My Head. It's like it's just you and him, and he's telling you a story. Fuck, I love Johnny Cash.
At the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, put out his cigarette, faded off to sleep. Somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. Run the folks done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. When to walk away, know when to fold 'em, know when to to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You don't ever count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done.
Give him all the accolades, all the praise imaginable, humanly possible. And it's still not enough. I would honestly put that up there with the original, if it is the original. I'm fairly certain it is Kenny Rogers' version or song. All the awards, the accolades, the praise, it's still not enough. He is one of the best of all time, bar none. And you won't hear very many people, if anyone, argue that. Johnny Cash is a universal icon. It doesn't matter what kind of music you're into. I guarantee you love Johnny Cash. Maybe not every single thing he's done, but I guarantee you there's like 5 or 6 songs you love. He defines the word legend. And if you've never heard that take on it, if that's what it is, if it is a take, we are all now way better for having heard it. But now I'm going to go search the original, because like I said, I haven't heard that song since I was a kid. And it's very weird that it popped into my head at like 4:30 in the morning. So let's go listen to it. For now, that's it. That's all. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you again real soon. Later.